Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome once again to the #1 morning show to get you guys ready for the market, none other than PreMarket Prep. We got another great show for you today. We'll talk about buying the dip, winning again. Our semiconductor stocks continuing to show strength. We'll take a look at Google the last day before the split. Earnings coming up, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, PNC, UNH, and Citigroup. We'll cover all these at the show. And of course, we'll touch a little bit about Pinterest shares trading higher off of a Wall Street Journal report. We got a special guest for you. Like always, we got Lagator, co-founder of Options AI, on a big options expiration day. So definitely smash the like. And of course, June retail sales hitting the tape at 8:30. Let's go ahead. Let's get this started. And let's sound that alarm. Let's have some fun today, guys. I got a little surprise for you coming right up.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. And before we get into the futures action, I do want to put a little icing on today. And the way I'm putting icing on today is none other than the D-Nut today, guys. I want to let you guys know, if you guys go to Krispy Kreme today, and full disclosure, they did not pay me to do this. I'm just a big Krispy Kreme fan. You can be going, and as long as you buy a dozen, after that, you got up to 4 dozens available to you for just 85 cents each. I already went and grabbed my 2 dozens today. So, hey, who knows? Maybe we see a D-Nut get off the ground there. Do you got the chart for us?
That's the best news of the day right there.
Hey,
that's unbelievable. You've already been there. You got your dozen donuts too?
I got a coffee too. I got 2 dozen.
Where's the donuts? Show me the donuts.
I'm about to get them. Let's you guys talk about it. I'll be right back.
I'm so hungry right now. I never eat in the morning. I don't eat that early. So you get those donuts in you, you'd have energy. I got to get myself to a Krispy Kreme, but I don't think they're in Canada anymore. I think they're all out of Canada. So I got to cross the border to go get these 85-cent donuts, or send me some, chat. I love Krispy Kreme.
Maybe that's why you're so cranky in the morning.
If I had those Krispy Kreme donuts, I wouldn't be so cranky. You're right.
Yeah,
Joel.
You needed something.
I know.
All right,
I should start eating more in the morning. It's the most important meal of the day, and I just basically don't.
I very important meal of the day.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're all health nut. I'm the opposite. There they are. He's already ate 2. Look at them.
Get those. You see, there's 2 missing.
Blaze it up. They're good donuts, man. They're good donuts.
Get your donuts, man.
I think Phil Pearlman still has the record, though. I think he pounded like a dozen of those in like 2 minutes. Back before Phil was all healthy. He's healthy now, but I think
all right, Joel, that's enough icing. Put some icing on this market. What did we see in the overnight action?
You could feel it in your bones yesterday. We were going to have a little green overnight. That's what we got. 8 3/4 handles. We're up at 38.02. Not much here on the dailies. Let's see if we can pierce that pre-market high. If we do, I think we could have some fun today on the upside. Crude, $7 off that low that it made in the 90 handle yesterday, up $1.25 at 97.02. Gold fighting the dollar, down 250, 17.0330. Silver in the 18 handle, up 12 cents, 18.34. Bitcoin caught a little bid yesterday in the trading range, up 165 at 20,790. And Ethereum futures, they're up $18.50 at 12.11. And as requested, we're going to be looking at the euro dollar. Went to par yesterday. Now a little bit on the rebound. Maybe we have a little temporary top in the dollar here. So good
And
morning.
remember, the biggest thing for you currency traders out there is just remember the US dollar is completely inverted to the equity markets. When you start seeing stocks sell off, US dollars always catch a bid. 20 years of trading, that relationship is there. It trades on other stuff as well, but that's the dominant relationship, is that US dollars, when you have world problems, US dollars are always seen as a safety trade. So US dollar gets stronger as equity markets get weaker. We start to turn around, you'll start to see some of that US strength come off. But I mean, US dollar breaking out here wasn't surprising with the S&P selling off the last couple of days. But the buy the dip mentality is still out there, Joel. The fade trade continues to work too. I think it's just a fade trade. Just fade everything. Stocks
Fade
rip,
everything.
sell them.
If
Stocks
you
dip,
ain't
buy them.
fading,
Fade
you
it
ain't
all.
trading, baby.
Fade and
They
glaze trade today. That's what it is. We got the fade trade and we got the glaze trade.
they
That's
pulled
what
a
the
nice one
trades.
yesterday because they took out the prior week's low, right? And we're in trouble. We're going down to the lows of the move, and they didn't turn it at 10, but they turned it at 11, and then they caught a bid. Sellers dried up. So I mean, you still have that area. Now you're 70 handles off that low. So what a pesky area. I'm not sure. Maybe look at some of your weekly charts and see how it corresponded to the weekly lows. What I noticed is that a lot of the tech stocks yesterday just weren't coming down to their weekly lows, and obviously some others were. But quick move up. We're still going to be red for the week, which is not a good sign. We closed last week up about 100 handles from here. I don't know if we're going to get that back. So
That'd be
not
tough.
a great week, but once again, we had bad data, right? Two occasions, and we so far have had pretty bad earnings.
So far we've had some bad earnings, but we just got one that was actually pretty good. Maybe we should just break right into it. You
Yeah.
give us a
Okay,
nice
let's go.
segue into it, Joel. Citigroup just came out here right as the show started, 8 o'clock. I haven't had time to look at the numbers here yet, but I do see the stock trading higher. So, Monty, Mitch, how'd they do?
All right, so here you guys have it. I'll bring it from Benzinga Pro. Citigroup Q2 EPS coming in at $2.19,
Wow.
beating the $1.69 estimate. Sales at $19.6 billion, beating the $18.12 billion estimate here. I'll get the numbers up on a banner. Sorry, I didn't have them as they hit right there while the show was starting, and I was doing my Krispy Kreme talk, but there you guys have the numbers.
The serious beat, Joel. I mean, they sold this thing off to a new low right into the number,
Yesterday,
and now they
yeah.
come out and they show us how it's done. So that's impressive. You got a new 52-week low yesterday. Stock rebounding off that. The biggest problem you're going to have is bag holder central everywhere in all of these banks, and it seems like whenever the banks rip on good earnings, they sell them off anyways. But it's a pretty good report. So I don't want to be early. You don't want to be the early fader on this because the report looks pretty good and the stock has been in the gutter. So that's a recipe that you could have a little bit of a rally here today. What are your thoughts?
One number,
I like one number.
45.78.
That's the high of the move today.
That's yesterday. No, not
2 days
yesterday.
ago.
It's filling it. Yeah, 2 days ago. And if it gets through there, you think there's any pay? At 46, maybe some people that just I scooped it up in the 44 handle, and I'm just gonna flip this out at 46. So after that, it opens up. We'll see. It's always look at what the pre-market high is, but focusing on the 2-day high of 45.78.
And then you can go to Wells Fargo, the opposite trade here. But again, fade trade working and everything. They hit Wells Fargo pretty far down. Mitch, give us the numbers and Joel break down those technicals.
Q2 EPS coming in here at 74 cents, missing the 86-cent estimate. Sales were at 17.3 billion, missing the 17.6 billion estimate here for Wells Fargo.
They hammered it down to 37.40 on the print, but they've started to rally it here.
Yeah.
So buy the dip, sell the rip, fade trade mentality, still running rampant in these markets here. Joel, give us some numbers on Wells Fargo.
Yesterday's high, 38.75. The close right there at 74. Show me that they like this report. Take it through unchanged, and then I'm not even going to worry about the 2-day high. So right there, you have the high and the close from yesterday staring you right in the face.
It's funny, you can get a big beat from Citi, a big miss from Wells, but the bank's responses to earnings are often quite muted. I don't know why that is. You never see like 8-10% movers off these banks. And I guess
Too
it's just they're
thick.
so widely, that's what it is. They're too thick, widely held. They just don't have those big moves. And when they do, they're almost always phase. Even JP Morgan selling off on its report. Well, the buy the dippers came into that one there too. So banks are mixed so far. We got some smaller regionals that reported there too. We can touch on a couple of them. But now I can just give you the list. You got PNC, you got State Street, you got USB, you got BK. BlackRock reported here too. They're always fun to look at. Where do you want to go, Money Mitch?
Let's do BlackRock there. I'm letting the PNC's numbers flow there on the bottom. We'll probably won't cover it too much there, but at least you guys get to see the numbers. Definitely check them on out. Let's get into BlackRock here. Q2 adjusted EPS coming in at $7.36, missing the $7.90 estimate.
Whoa.
Sales were at $4.53 at the billion, $4.53 billion, missing the $4.65 billion estimate there. So a miss and a miss for BlackRock.
Offered down $10 in the pre-market. I can see the odd lot at 578. It sounds huge, but it's $588 stock, so that adds up to only about 1.8%. There's an odd lot bid of 577 for 15 shares. If you're looking at your quotes, you're probably seeing 75, 80 to 79, but that's why when you get into these $500 stocks, you get that ARCA book, you can see a little bit more of where some liquidity is, but it's thin, it's early. The stock's trade 1,700 shares only. Does appear like it's going to open down, rightfully so, when you have a pretty big miss from BLK.
I'm going with the wide guy at 75.80. He's 20 cents above the low of the move at 75.60. It's the only thing I can give you. The monthly looks horrible. This chart looks heavy. It's leaning. It's had a big. I mean, yeah. If this is something that you want to buy, then go right ahead. It's just don't see anything technically right now. You know, here
that's
you got
75.60. Where that
yeah,
probably. It's probably not a he or a she. It's probably an it. It's probably a bot. That's 90% of everything is bots out there. But they're leaning on the low of the move.
If I was short and no one's making a market like this, and you know I had some paper on my desk that wanted to buy, I'd look out there and see, hey, you know, how low can people hit me, right?
Yep. Well, Dennis, I think that it is called beat up boob. But we'll just keep going. We won't refer to it as it anymore. Let's go to UNH. Let's get out of the banks. Let's take a look at health stock today. Coming in with.
Was I supposed to catch that one? Is that like a robot or something? Is
beat up boop, just like kind of like you name a robot. What would you name a robot? Right. You know, beat up boop.
R2D2?
R2D2 kind of thing.
Dennis,
I didn't want to go R2D2 because Dennis would have gone on 20 minutes on Star Wars.
Hey,
you see what happens? You see what happens, Joel?
Dennis, that's what Disney needs. They need another Star Wars movie. Star Wars 42.
They just came out. They come out with new Star Wars movies all the time. They have the whole series. You didn't watch Anakin Skywalker? It's really good.
Oh man,
they're killing it on the Star Wars stuff, man.
Yeah,
they really do. They rock the Star
Wars. Hey,
Netflix
reporting next week going to probably miss subscribers. Do you think it'll eventually probably hit Disney also?
I think there's no value given to Disney Plus whatsoever anymore. Even though if they miss on subscribers, they'll hit it. But Disney Plus was $120 stock. Disney was $120 stock before Disney Plus existed. It's now $90. I mean, and the parks are still full. They're packed. People are saying they're still packed. Now, again, if we go into recession, and this is the problem with Disney, we talked already, goes into recession, it's going to go lower. I'm long Disney. I'm actually long, my wife long Netflix in her account, which is both value trades, and they've been value traps. So I don't know when they turn it around, but if we ever get out of this bear market, maybe they do. Netflix reports on Tuesday, Money Mitch. Tuesday night.
Yep, keep that on your radar.
I'm scared. Whenever you get this, boom, and then the consolidation, it's usually another boom. So they're probably going to lose subscribers, probably going to go down. I don't think it's going to drop another 30% because it's getting to a point where the value investors like me have jumped in. But I do think that it's going to be an ugly report. I think we're going to get a lot of ugly reports. I think that's what's coming. And we need to see them buy the stocks with bad reports.
I'm bringing us back here. We're talking UNH. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Wow. What show is
You
this?
said R2D2, and then the whole show
I
went off the
know.
rails. We're not following the script. We're
That's
gonna all
why
get
I
in
said
trouble
beat
for
up
that.
boo.
Joel's
Beat up
fault.
boo, Joel.
It was my fault. It's my fault.
100%. You mentioned
100%.
R2D2. You know we're going
I'm
Star
sorry.
Wars.
Put me in
Q2
timeout. I'm
EPS
sorry.
here coming in at $5.57, beating the $5.20 estimate. Revenues at $80.3 billion here, beating the $79.68 billion estimate. They also lifted full year 2022 earnings outlook guidance, expected to adjust now to an EPS of 21.40 and a high of 21.90, up from the prior outlook, which was at 21.20 to a high of 21.70.
Oh gosh. Joel, I'm just gonna throw this to UNH at
This is
you
a tough
first
stock.
because
Tough stock.
it's in the
man.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's held up better. We know UNH held up better. It's defensive. Dividends not very good at all, only 1.29%. But I don't know. I mean, 520 looks like the Rock of Gibraltar of resistance up there. So it's hard to get excited. The stock just kind of just hangs out. I don't see it really. I don't want to chase it.
What number do you think this is in market cap in the S&P 500?
It's probably higher than you think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's top 20.
7.
It's up to 7 now?
Yes.
Has UNH ever been the top 10?
No.
I don't think so. Never.
Nope.
And that's just because of the assassination of so many other stocks. Here's a stock that
There's
hasn't
no
gone
such thing
down,
as FANG
and it's
anymore,
moving
man.
up. What is the top 10 now, Joel? Read us the top 10. Obviously, Apple, Microsoft still leading the charge.
Okay, and then you know what I do to get the third biggest?
You combine the Googs.
Yep. Okay, and then
what else you got?
Fourth is pretty easy.
Amazon.
Okay, fifth is pretty easy too.
Meta.
Tesla.
We'll talk about
it was Meta.
Mitch, ding, 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 ding.
Is it Tesla?
Ding, ding, winner.
Yes.
Mitch.
Still?
Yep.
Tesla.
Holy.
Guess
Crazy.
what's next?
Crazy talk. ExxonMobil.
It creeped into the top 10 lately, but it's a big value stock.
Meta's still up there.
I'll get the Meta.
So number 6. It's a big value stock.
Yeah.
Who is it?
The biggest of value stocks.
J&J.
Value.
Burke?
Yeah.
Burke?
Burke.
Oh, Burke. Yeah, you can't forget about Burke.
And then UNH.
Then
And then Mitch got the other one. He was pretty close, right? Johnson & Johnson.
Johnson comes in.
And then the next
Meta?
one. No, Meta's out of the top 10.
Oh, it's out of the top 10 now.
Yes. And the other one is on its verge of sliding out too.
Exxon.
The Nvidia.
Nvidia's number 9?
Yep.
Nvidia's number 9, been leaking, and then you got Exxon.
And then Meta.
And a few value stocks have snuck in there. The UNH, that's just stock not going down, the rest of the world collapsing around it. Benefit of everyone else's futility.
Actually, ExxonMobil did sneak in there. I didn't update this, but since they got whacked, that 8, 9, 10, 11 spot, I mean, the top is secure, with the big tech, they flip back and forth. But it's the 8, 9, 10 that like used to have Procter and Gamble in there. That got whacked. JP Morgan used to be in there. That got whacked.
Yeah.
CVX is working its way back up. But UNH, let's see here. Trading up 822. Show me what I'll just go. Well, 520 is the area Dennis mentioned. My area of interest first would be what can it do at the 2-day high of 511.86?
Well, I just to kind of get us out of this UNH talk. Well, let's keep going. Let's talk semiconductors. A lot of people mentioned them in the chat. Are semiconductors continuing to show strength? I'll pitch it to you guys.
Yeah, the chips have been a source of big time strength. I mean, Micron is breaking out here again. I bought more Micron the other day on the pullback about 2 days ago. I think, I like the fact that they've already reported, so I don't have to look ahead to a disappointing quarter coming. That was one reason. 2, they reported the disappointment and they bought it on it. I mean, the chips, if you're just jumping into all the chips, I mean, Applied Materials had a great day yesterday coming back. My AMD, I bought more AMD, starting to show a little bit of life, needs to get above 80, doesn't look as healthy as the others. NVIDIA did not make a new low on the move the last couple days. But Qualcomm's been a source of strength, breaking out. I'm long Qualcomm. So I'm long Qualcomm, I'm long AMD, I'm long Micron, all in the long-term portfolio. I'm out can add more chips too. They've been hammered. There's value there. Yes, they are cyclical. Yes, if we're going to a recession, the earnings come down. But again, if you're 100% cash, you got to take some risk once in a while.
What's going on in 61 here? You've had a gap down day from a while ago. You had a high at 60.96. You poked your head. So if this one opens up and stays 61 bid, then you definitely got some room on the upside. Little gap fill at 62.
Is there news on this today?
Yeah, is
Ripping
there?
today.
I'll take a look.
I haven't even we get sidetracked with everything. Option expiration going on. Obviously, something going on here in Micron today. We'll go hunting.
61.
Probably a rating.
If you're buying this off the hop, make sure it holds 61.
Said to weigh climbs SK Hynix. Bloomberg. This is from Bloomberg. Said to weigh cutting CapEx by a quarter in 2020. I don't know what the hell that means. But anyways, it sounds like it's good news.
It sounds like good news, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes you don't have to interpret the news, and the market interprets it for you.
Yeah, the market did it for you.
Yeah, the market did it for you. That's good right now. Good for me, Micron. I'm actually I bought the first shares just horribly at 71, and I just bought 57, I think. 58, 57, 56. I don't know. Maybe it was a week ago I bought it. Might have been 57-ish. 61. So I brought the cost basis down there. Never frown average down, Joel. Getting there.
For the long-term
You've been hanging out with Kathy too much, Dennis.
Ollie, did you see her purchase yesterday? I subscribed to her newsletter only for the
There you go, Mitch. You don't want tangents. Go ahead.
I know. I almost bit my tongue on that one, Joe. I was
it's a good tangent.
Don't say it, Mitch.
Okay, it's a good tangent. Go ahead, Dennis.
Take us away, Dennis.
She buys DNA, the $3 stock, every single day.
Yeah,
Shopify. She's loading Shopify yesterday. She loves it when stocks making new 52-week lows. That's when she loads up. She bought 342,000 shares of Shop. She's buying Square. I bought Square too. So I bought Square 3 days ago for the long-term portfolio, just a starter position. She buys 100,000 shares, so a little more in a starter position. She's been in bag holding, obviously. She loves her Coinbase. She thinks we're all going crypto. She's a crypto fanatic there, obviously. She bought more Twilio. I don't mind the Twilio, 81. I can see there's some levels of support, but she just keeps adding to her losers. Never frown average down. Eventually, she'll catch a bid, and she says, I'm going to win.
Twilio is going to have a green candle in a monthly. I predict one day.
There's support here.
This year, this will have one green monthly candle before the end of the year.
I told you, I kind of turned for her. I'm kind of liking the Kathy stocks here. I said a month ago, I think that the 2022 ARKK low is in. I might be wrong. Zoom has scared me a little bit because that thing just went into epic collapse. That's one of her big holes.
So did Roku.
3 day. Or did Roku do it too?
Yep.
Oh gosh, Roku's just starting.
It's just hanging out there.
I don't like
cuts
the Roku.
Through that 80.
I think Roku. People are going to hate me for this. And I own 3 of them. Because but they're going smart TVs. This is TiVo Part 2. So, I mean, they have a little bit of stuff, but I think Roku is eventually like a $20 stock. I'm not going to. That's one I would stay far, far away from. Do not like Roku whatsoever. Zoom's got some value there, but value trap. It's been more than anything. Some of her holdings, I just cringe a little bit, but they're so beaten up that, some of them might rally.
You better hope Tesla hangs on.
Wow, that's what's held up her portfolio.
Yeah, let's just be honest. She better hope Tesla.
You know what's going to nail Tesla, Joel? Is if they start getting news, and obviously going to be over the course of the next year. But if they, this thing goes to court and they must swallow Twitter at 54.20, Tesla will get hammered on that. So,
I think Kathy's like, can you just please Twitter? Come on, she's sending letters to Twitter. Come on, help my man Elon out.
Yeah, help us out. Hey, you know what? Maybe she should go buy Twitter and she could take Musk off just to protect the Tesla position. I don't think
that's a hedge right there. Joel, what do you see on that Zoom chart?
Not much. Broke down through the halfway. It's in a pretty open area, so a couple bad days. Nothing really support until your next daily low at that's way down at 94. If you're a Zoom bull here, you want to see this thing catch a couple lows at this area, hang out, maybe settle in triple digits for a while, and then make it turn up. But not much as far as support goes in Zoom. We leaked a little bit, Dennis. Nothing.
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
We
yeah.
leaked big time.
What's going on out there,
what
man? You got
happened?
your
Buy the
Option
dip, though. Buy the
expiration.
dip.
the
Buy the
jockeying.
dip, sell the rip, rinse, repeat, chop all over the place. It's choppy waters out
Copy
here,
fest,
folks.
baby.
We do have a lot of buy imbalances early. I'm just looking, but again, remember this is option expiration. Those buy imbalances become sell imbalances just like that sometimes, and the sell imbalances become buy imbalances. If you're looking to the imbalances on option expiration day, you'll get chopped up because lots of institutional action that's going to come in, jockeying those open option positions against the stocks.
All right, let's continue going into our headlines today. Let's do Google. Last day before the 20-for-1 split. And I will say I got stopped out yesterday. I was trying to get the dip there, but it did stop me out there. I'm not going to lie, through the 2200 spot. So it did come back a little bit. What do you guys see on the chart? What do you think today?
It's got support down there. Obviously, long and in the long-term account, that's never leaving. I tend to think you got to think it's going to run into the split. I mean, so if I was buying a stock today, I think as a day trade, I think you could see a source of relative strength here. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but just looking at it, I mean, I'd probably hedge it out. And we're going to talk about that in a future event that we're going to have next month, an educational event on how to hedge some of these trades. I don't know. I think it should run up, but just because it should run up doesn't mean it's gonna. Joel, thoughts, concerns?
This is when they announced the split right here. Boom. Now this is a weekly.
Had the big pop. That was the selling opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's been dropping ever since. Obviously,
yeah.
you can't help that was the top of the market.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just not, it hasn't done your traditional, patterns ahead of the splits and stuff.
No.
And you know what? I'm really gonna welcome this being a $200 stock because I hate just discussing 2000.
It's gonna be $100 stock, Joel.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It is 20 for
20.
Yeah.
Gonna pull the Amazon. We're going right down to $100.
Yeah, I mean 24. I mean, you can see what you need to do to, you need to bust above 2400 to get some clear skies. Doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. And I don't know. I mean, 2100. Yeah, you got below it this day, 2050. I mean, you've been in a trading range basically since the middle of May, and you're right smack in the middle. So good luck
coming into the
with
bottom of
that
that range. I mean, we have precedents. Amazon has just continued to trade in the same range. It did run up into the split and then sell off after. Typically, that is what you see, the run up into the split and the sell off after. But we didn't see a run up into the split. So they're going off script on this one. So I don't know if you're going to see the sell off after. Obviously, overall market's going to dictate the move. But I think trade the range until it doesn't work. Was that channelingstocks.com back in the day? There you go.
Yeah,
you got
they used to advertise in the bright office.
Buy low, sell high.
I bought
Same
here.
stock
I made
again and
money.
again.
I
How are you
sold here.
retired
I
already?
made
You're like
money.
27. Oh, channelstocks.com. This was like back in the tether tech bubble.
Don't send these
back in
guys
2000.
advertisements. Don't bring it. Don't
Well,
remember
we
it.
advertised
Don't
on
remember it.
TV. Remember in the bright office, we ran.
We were
some,
on TV. Yeah, we had
we
CNBC
had some
commercial bright trading. We
advertising.
did back in the day.
That was a sweet office, man. Bob always complained about how high the rent was, though.
What was
But
it? How much
anyways,
you pay? What was the rent a month there? It was like $30 a month.
it was.
These guys.
$31
Can you imagine
a
being
month.
in one
Quiet
building?
It's a nice building. though.
One building with both of these guys?
I know. Can you
Oh, there was
imagine?
a lot
And like
more than
20
us in
other
there.
like
Oh, good
20
Lord.
other traders that are all kind of wild. Half of them were Canadian.
It was fun. All right,
All right, let's go to
digression again.
Pinterest. Let's go.
Okay.
Pinterest
Oh,
shares
gosh.
are trading higher following a Wall Street Journal report suggesting that Elliott Management took a stake of more than 9% in the social media company. Looks like the rumors definitely getting things going again.
Those news algos get so excited, and that broke right at 4:00, I believe, from the Wall Street Journal, and boom, they took this thing up. Joel, is that candle correct? Did they really
Yes.
take it to $24?
2405.
Insanity. So the news algo, it's just got to get less aggressive. Like, we're not in a bull market. Whoever's running this thing, take a little aggression out of it. I'm sure they're still making money because they pick off the 18, they pick off the 19, they pick off the 20. But they're picking off 24? What are you doing, man? What are you
And look
doing?
at this. And look at
Oh,
this.
man.
Oh,
was a
what
selling
happened? We
opportunity.
just got some retail. Oh, we just had 10 point. Dennis, you okay
8:30.
there?
Cancel all.
You got
Cancel all. You
What
guys,
happened there?
sales. Retail sales. That's going to be your retail sales. June
we're a
retail
buck
sales.
wide on SPY right now.
Yeah, they
wide.
just wiped out the book down to 89, and now they're popping it right back up here. That was
Retail sales.
We're a buck wide on SPY.
Still haven't gotten the number yet. I'm looking for the number right now. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get it.
Who cares? I mean, they dipped
Retail
it,
sales. Remember,
yeah.
Expected month over month is 0.8. Last month it was actually negative 0.3. So
they got
so
to
what was it?
They
Give
got
it to us again, Mitch. I was like,
go.
expectations were 0.8. Last month was negative 0.3. So the expectation is 0.8. That's month over month. Retail sales.
Okay,
Let me
so
see. I'm looking for it here. I'm trying to grab it here.
Trying to interpret this in my head because you look retail sales, you think, okay, well, does that mean demand destruction is starting to occur? Does that mean the Fed's plan is working?
Actually, doesn't look too bad here. I'll give you guys a number right now.
Well, it's 1.
This
No, it's 1
here.
versus
1% versus 8, and prior was actually negative. So that's actually a good swing around there.
Yeah, so actually it's still showing strength here.
Yeah, that's actually showing strength. Way better than that negative that we got on the prior. So let's take a look at maybe how some retail stocks are moving.
We are chopping up here. Chop fest here.
SPY is cutting down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not the biggest move. I mean, I think we were already leaking. So
still showing, above expectations. It's close though. I mean, when you're 1 versus 0.8, CNBC was saying 0.9. I mean, you're right there. It's hard to just, come in and say it's fairly close to where they expected. So this isn't one that's gonna.
I'll go to the 1 minute. Yeah, I'll go to the 1 minute because they want to see the 1 minute. But I mean, it's trying to. Now it's really the battle. Choppy. Yeah, now it's the battle for. Battle for unchanged here. Can we stay green going into the open? But let's
do core one here. Just want to go ahead and give you guys the core one also. That's that 1% also, and looks like a 0.6 estimate on that one, and prior was 0.6.
Really choppy. Really choppy.
All right, let's can we finish up pins before we
let's go back to
interest
it right quick.
Before we okay, 2 things. I did a mean tweet yesterday, and I feel bad about it. Really bad about it. I said, people that were out there buying the pins on that, and I didn't even see the price action. I said, before you do that, take a look at your Western Digital chart. Okay. Who took an activist stake and thought his stock was worth at least $100?
Yeah.
Who do you think did that?
Was it Elliott?
Yep.
And that was when Joel pointed on the chart.
You don't even have,
right at the top.
Yeah. Okay. And then just from a fundamental standpoint, I did some due diligence on that
Look
stock.
At Joel with the due diligence.
And I talked to Lisa, and she
I like that too.
I asked her how much she uses that, and she said,
interest?
"Well, yeah, yep." She said, "Well, when we have a special event, or she gets recipes off it, right? That's like the main thing.
Nobody uses that."
Okay, and then she said, when back when Dana got married a couple years ago, she picked up some things on there. And I'm like, okay, so they just make their money off advertising. And Dennis, I know you say that you think companies are like a 0, and I never say it. I think this may be a 0. I think anybody that relies on advertising, like I look at that Facebook, I just think there's just, it's such a tight dollar, and it's advertising is so competitive. I don't see why they're going to be the winner. So I don't know why he took a 9% stake. It's already fading, but I mean, Twitter, all these other, I don't see it. I don't see the value in it.
I don't either. I think there's better social media platforms, and I have the same due diligence there. My wife used to be on Pinterest all the time, and she doesn't go to it all anymore. Same thing, Snapchat. It's the same thing. They're all on Snapchat, and they go on TikTok now. I mean, I guess, Pinterest is not like TikTok, but at the same time, it's still eating up time. If you're sitting there and you got an hour, to do your mind numbing at night, what are they going to? What's everybody going to? And it's not Pinterest anymore, and it's not Snapchat anymore. So why do you want to own those? It's TikTok. They go to TikTok still. So I go to Twitter. I like sports and stocks, and there's lots of cool stuff to talk about on that. It's always been my social media platform, but it's like you go, you're getting ready for sleep, you're laying in bed, it's 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever time you go. You numb your brain for an hour doing the mindless scroll, as Gene Munster calls it, which is what you do. And where are they scrolling now? I don't think it's Pinterest either. So I would be a seller of this rally. Again, the rally already got sold, though. I would like, better last night at 22 than selling it today at 19. They're going to talk about it all bloody day, so it's probably going to hold up somewhat. But if it got back up to the 22 area, I think you ring the register and move on. Just my opinion.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into our guests. Let's get out of this. Let's start talking. It's a big day for us today, especially in options, big options expiration. Let's go ahead. None other than let's bring on CC Lagator here. Let me make sure I get the banner, but let's put it up here. Let's bring him on. How we doing today, CC?
Good. Great to see you guys.
All right, guys. This is the co-founder at Options AI. So none other than I think one of the best to bring on for a day like today. What are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. The last time I was on, we were sort of in between earnings seasons, talking more about triple witching, things like that. And, I felt like the focus on options back then was really, it's still macro is still moving the markets, oil and inflation numbers and things like that. But, the next 2 weeks, we really get into the heart of earnings season. We're getting a little bit of a taste of it with the banks the last 2 days. And, we're going to start to hear some of these, these conference calls and all are going to be really interesting because, it's like, what are these companies seeing? Like, it's very confusing. It's been a very confusing last month, right? With, the swings in oil and, what everybody's thinking about inflation. I mean, the CPI number that came out this week, everybody's like, oh, that's horrible. And then everybody goes outside and they see that, the gas prices at the gas station are down $1 in the last couple of weeks. And so I think everybody's a little confused. I think hearing the guidance from some of these companies are going to be interesting. And then you see stuff like that Citi number today, which was kind of, out of the blue. So anyway, what options have been doing, for the last couple of months, I would say the last 2 weeks, options have basically started to correctly price these moves. And it's sort of that buy the dip and, fade the rallies. Options are kind of getting it correct. They've been pricing about, about a 2.5% move the last couple of weeks. And that's actually what we've gotten in the markets. And I think we're right around there on the week today, down 2.5% or so on the week. Before that, there was like 3 to 4 straight weeks where the market was moving 5-6% a week and options were just totally off. They totally were off sides. Options were pricing at most. When the VIX is like up in the 30s, that generally means that on the week options are pricing about a 3% move in the market, maybe like 3.5%, like up in, if you're up near 40. When the VIX is down in the mid like 20s, it's basically pricing about a 2 to 2.25%, maybe 2.5% move in the upper 20s. And that's basically what the market's been moving. So now options on, the individual companies, you're going into an earnings season where you can kind of get like a pretty good sense of, that how these companies might move on earnings because they're basically in line with how the market's moving. A lot of times the market, when, the VIX is 35 and a company's reporting earnings, you're like, what difference does it make? Because the market's going to pull those companies, like 5% that day. The earnings don't matter anymore. It's just macro stuff moving markets. The next week or so, we're going to see, like Tesla report, Netflix report. That Netflix is a stock that the last couple of reports has moved massively. And I actually, when I looked at that the other day, I was like, man, that was 2 straight quarters where Netflix has made massive moves. And then they're going into this earnings next week with, I could look up the expected move, but it's, so it's an interesting time where the companies are reporting into a fairly priced market volatility wise. So we're going to get to, we're going to get to see some of these moves.
So what do you Go
let's
ahead,
just
Dennis.
talk. I just want to talk about this day in general. It's option expiration. It's the earliest one we can possibly get on the 15th. I always see, obviously a huge imbalances on the stocks on this day. You see like crazy and they flip around and they do funny things. You talk about some of the mechanics to what institutions are doing on these days and what causes, these crazy, huge buy imbalances, huge sell imbalances, these huge moves that we see on the open and the close.
Yeah. So, and I think we talked about this a little bit last time with triple witching is I think the easiest way to understand options is to watch an expiration Friday, and particularly like that last expiration hour, because what's happening is every single option is going to either 0 or 100 deltas, right? And if you can understand like what's happening to that, premium going to 0, it's either finishing at 0 or whatever it's worth at the, right at expiration Friday.
Yes.
If you can understand that relationship and how it accelerates into the close, you can understand basically 99% about options. And for those that are like curious and getting into options, like open up the options chains and all like into the close and like study sort of like a SPY straddle, like look at that column, the put right into the close and see how that's working in those last like 15 minutes. And basically what's happening to your question is, that overnight, for instance, the market's basically, it's barely, futures are barely higher, right? Mm-hmm. So basically any assumptions that have been made about deltas that are just, let's say like 1% away from the market right now, that's all collapsed overnight, right? We're looking at a fairly flat open. So people come in the morning and they have to adjust at their positions at all those big banks and hedge funds and market making firms and things like that. And they're basically adjusting the positions for the fact that, the options market might have been pricing a 1% move today, and we're only looking, up a fraction of that. So all of those deltas start to collapse and approach 0, those out of the money deltas. And then those in the money deltas go from a coin flip to start being like 60, 70% odds of finishing in the money. So all of those deltas start adjusting. And as you get into the close, that all accelerates. And basically something that is, 60 deltas becomes 100 deltas in 15 minutes.
So then you got to adjust, obviously. You got to adjust using the stocks. A lot of market makers are probably using the stocks. And that's why we see these big moves in the stocks.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you'll see things like, particularly around big round numbers that a bunch of people have, options positions in. You all were mentioning Google split on Monday.
Yes.
Amazon's was a little easier because when Amazon was doing that 20-to-1 split, like the post split price was much closer to 100. And those are like really interesting levels in options because that, at 2000, there's a ton of options interest in a stock like that. And then after the fact, you've made that 20 times the open interest in that line. And so that's a great example of, if you see a stock like near a big round number, like 100 going into the close on an expiration, you will often see that stock pin at that big round number. And what's happening is that delta adjustment accelerating into the close, and the stock pops above that number. There's sellers. The stock dips below that level. There's buyers. And then it just sort of like pins to that level. And that's one of those weird market inefficiencies you see out of the options market. And that doesn't exist, a week before expiration because nobody cares. That stock could go either way, right? And the deltas aren't as close to 0 and 100. When you get into expiration like that, those market makers do not want to come in Monday with massive longs and shorts, and they are trying desperately to get to delta as close to delta neutral as they can.
We're on the line with CC Lagator. He's a co-founder of Options AI, PreMarket Prep's go-to options expert. CC, I just want to talk to you a little bit about volatility here. And, we had the volatile markets. We came down hard. And, one thing, that I always look at is before we start going up in a sustained rally, I like to see things calm down, right? And from what I'm seeing, I use the S&P as my personal VIX. We've had some big intraday ranges, some choppy markets, but overall, the volatility is coming down. Is that what you're seeing in the options market? And how do you interpret that?
Yeah, it's funny because you had a couple of weeks in a row where the options market was, the market was moving way beyond what options were pricing. It was interesting because the options market didn't really blink. So you never really saw that the VIX 50 day, right? You never saw that big puke and big panic day. But what you did see is that when you'd have those sustained like 6% moves down, that you would see the VIX up at around, 35. I'm pretty sure every time the VIX has gotten to around 35 this year, it has been a tradable low, right? If you look at the VIX chart. And then the tops for, people looking to see, like maybe we're a little ahead of ourselves from a sentiment standpoint. Every time the VIX has gotten down into the low 20s has been, sometimes like I think this year, I think it's been when rallies have stalled, or at least since the volatility really picked up in March. So what's interesting is we never saw that panic low that everybody was looking for, where you saw that like 50% or 50 VIX. And now you're seeing, moments like this week with that CPI number, the market's down big, it gets bought. This morning it looked like we might rally, and then all of a sudden it's like there's sellers, and that kind of tradable market with a VIX, in the mid 20s seems about right. When this really turns and like maybe everybody's like, all right, inflation's coming down, it's safe to go back into the water, and we might see a sustained rally, volatility at that point will absolutely collapse. If you had a couple of months of a sustained rally, you're going to see the VIX, 15, 16, something like that. But we are nowhere near that. And that basically signals to me, like a VIX at 25, that you have to be nimble. If you're buying the dip and then you get it and you get it correctly, check that out when the VIX is back into like 22, 23 range. You might start to be thinking about using that as a way to, exit some of those trades.
And just so far going into earnings season here, we've just gone through the banks and stuff. Did you see any any unusual activity? I hate to say whales because you never know what they're doing on the other side, but bad earnings after the bad earnings. Looking at J.P. Morgan yesterday and some of these stocks, did you see any kind of huge call buying or put selling, or it really pretty much the same as it was before?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I wanted to pull up. So Options AI, we have this earnings calendar. I'm not sure if I've ever shown it to you all on the show. So this is free to use. People can sort of Google, they can go in and they can Google Options AI earnings calendar. So one of the things we love to do at Options AI, and we put it into the trading platform, it's a highly visual trading platform. One of the things we do is we draw the expected move, right? So if you all can see my screen, right? So,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, for instance, this is like a Netflix chart, and we're drawing the expected move out next week, which has earnings. But I wanted to come back to the earnings calendar. So you look at today, and you've got UNH, you got Wells Fargo, you got Citi. I think, Joel mentioned earlier, bank earnings are interesting because you very rarely see massive moves in bank earnings. And I think that's probably because, who's putting out the estimates? It's their competitors, right? So everybody kind of knows each other's business. And so, but you had that Citi move, which was a big beat. What is it up now? Like 4 and some percent?
Yeah, it's up 5% now. It just ripped through the previous day's high, ripped through 46. It's up 5%.
Yeah, and so when you look at this, Citi was pricing, the options were only pricing about a 3, what was it, a 3 and 3.3% move, and the prior earnings had only been, like Joel's point, like look at that, 1.56% move, 1.25% move, less than a 1% move. So it's a pretty big move for Citi, right? And then Wells Fargo, on the other hand, that is, what is that, still down slightly? That Wells options were pricing an almost 4% move. And the reason for that was you look at the last earnings, it moved almost 5% lower, right? So Wells is barely moving compared to what options were pricing. And, Citi is a lot higher than what options were pricing. So that sort of gives you the significance of how big Citi's beat was. And then if we go out to like next week and we start looking at, Netflix is one of the ones I brought up earlier. It's when does Netflix go? Tuesday. So Netflix is pricing like a 12.5% move next week. And this is what I couldn't remember how many of these past quarters they had huge moves, but that was a 35% move last quarter. And before that was a 22% move. You look back in October, it only moved 2% on earnings. 4 quarters ago, it only moved 3% on earnings. So these last 2 quarters, it has absolutely broken its options market. Like there's no way to price this, right? So options are basically pricing in Netflix 12.5%. It's a total guess, right?
Huh.
After 2 moves of those significance. And so for traders out there, what you're looking for in these kinds of expected moves and why you should really start with these sorts of things is you get a sense of your own risk, right? So you're looking, like Tesla's options are about an 8% move for their earnings. Tesla doesn't really move on earnings that significantly. And I think because, what is it, like a few weeks or a month before they report their car deliveries. So, in a stock like Tesla, but Tesla options are notoriously bad at pricing Tesla over time, right? So Tesla makes these like $100 swings all the time. The options never have that correctly priced. But what they do is like on earnings, like Tesla, an 8% move, that's a pretty good indication of like a risk in, Tesla earnings for, for your positions. And so if I was looking at that and I own Tesla stock, that's basically my risk on earnings. And that's how I should be thinking about my hedging. If I'm looking for a disaster hedge, I should be thinking, down 8% in Tesla. If I'm looking for, a leverage higher in Tesla, I'm probably playing that with a call spread to only catch a move like up 8% on earnings. And that's the way people should be thinking about these options positions, is starting with this expected move and then deciding basically, is that, does the options market have a good sense of how much this stock could move? And then where does that mean for my strikes? Am I you look at that Netflix thing and it's like, well, Netflix, the options have completely missed these moves the last 2 times. If that happens a 3rd time in a row, I'm going to need disaster protection. And where do I buy my disaster?
Did we just lose CC?
Yeah,
We did. He was just getting into the good stuff here.
Yeah, I think we just lost him. Give him a second just to see if he's going to come back.
We're ripping. We'll just talk about the market just before we get
CC
here back.
Down.
Holy, we are ripping now.
Yeah, that's what confused me first with those numbers. At least from the number, it looked like it was decent there, but then all of a sudden the market started going up. So the market's been doing the fake outs on these numbers.
That's all it is right now. It's fake outs in every direction right now. That's what the market is.
Let's take a look at the overall market there, Joel.
Yeah, we just caught a wicked bid here just a little bit ago. And like I said, there's nothing in there. I wish we could have waited and taken out the pre-market high. But Wednesday's intraday high is at 34.75. We just got to 33. But maybe I spoke too soon about us having a scratch week. We are now 30 handles closer after that move. Dennis, did you get an imbalance switch there?
They were all buys the whole time.
They're all
Joel.
buys the whole time.
They've never moved from buys. They've been heavy buys all morning.
I
think market makers too are looking at that and saying, well, we haven't even flipped once here, so these buy imbalances are definitely
might be good. Yeah.
But again, we've been talking about it, and it's been a tricky market. Like I've tried to get bullish, and obviously I'm the biggest equity position that I've had in my long-term portfolio for almost a year. I lightened up back. Well, I've been lightening up, into last year's stupidity. So, towards the end of 2021 and early 2022, and I built it up to a 53% cash position. I'm down to 32% cash, and I'm like, yesterday's sell-off, I'm like, man, I maybe just early, and I have been early. I've been nibbling, and I've been early. I just keep feeling like the sentiment, like you can kind of feel. You feeling it?
I was feeling it actually yesterday, Dennis.
Did you do some buying
at the close?
Did you do some buying?
I haven't done it yet, but I'm feeling that we want to run back towards that 390 way faster than we want to run towards 360.
I said I what said it on the at the close show. I said, we've been down every day this week, but like I'm thinking, a 4-day lose. I really don't. I felt like we've had a good week so far. Except we got hit. We got hit
Yeah.
on Monday and Tuesday, but just the way the market kept just battling back, battling back, battling back. So, and like the title of my rap was, 4-day losing streak, but I almost felt like I was lying, by putting that, but that's what it was. And it was a buy the dip opportunity too. But market's battling back. I don't know what they
But
made out of that retail sales number, but man, you saw what happened when it went red for just 1 nanosecond. Yeah,
buyers
right.
came in.
Yeah, right at the
No.
close. So what happens when you get when you have the opportunities like you did on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then you miss them, and then the market starts to move away, then people are like, well, the chase mode comes in.
Yes.
Maybe now I missed it. Now I thought we were going to 3,500, and we stopped at 3,600 before, and last week we only got to 3,700. So I know we had Craig Johnson on Tuesday, and he's still looking for that dip down to 3,500, and I know Chaikin's looking for like 2,500. But man, oh man, it just seems like everyone's looking for that 200-day moving average or for that perfect entry
Those are
buy.
late though, and
I
so many
know.
people everybody talks about it on we're below the 200 days, we're below the 200 days, but those are late. So it depends what kind of trader you are. If you're a trend trader, you've got to follow all that stuff. I'm a trader that trades the turns. I'm a trader that trades what momentum I'm seeing. I'm trying to call turns, and you're wrong sometimes. And again, this is I'm going to keep saying we're going to chop. So the buying opportunity was yesterday. The buying opportunity, we just ride 100 handles from the low. So now if you're buying right now at this moment in time, you're kind of doing it backwards. I mean, you just ripped 3%. So what do you want? That's a good week worth of earnings that you just got in 24 hours. So I'd probably be booking the gains into this. But again, long term, it's different than trading. But I've been biased to a little bit on the long side of my trading. I usually trade market neutral, but I bias it every once in a while. I think you got to just be careful chasing moves. So the fade trade is still here until further notice. So buying dips, selling rips, shorting rips, buying dips. It's going to be choppy. I don't think we're ripping straight higher. I don't think we're ripping straight lower. But from a long-term investment standpoint, there's a lot of risk priced in this market. Let's see. We're going to start getting the earnings. Citi was okay, Wells Fargo, but we're getting to the meat of it next week. We get Netflix, we'll get Tesla, we'll get Johnson & Johnson, we'll get IBM, just looking at the list. We're going to get Goldman Sachs. We're going to get, Snapchat, which, is a stock that really moves the markets, which is, a very underrated report. So we're going to get some big reports coming the week after. We're going to get, all the mega caps reporting. So 2 weeks, we'll have a lot more information. But at the same time, I don't want to be in all cash, and then all of a sudden they start buying stocks on bad earnings reports, and I'm sitting on the sidelines and left, with cash that's losing an 8 or 9% to inflation. So I got to get some of that money in there. It's been painful, and it's been painful, that I bought some stocks and they've leaked. But at the same time, I think a lot of bad news is in this market.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're going to be putting it on the better than expected retail sales number. It's going to be something to watch. I mean, I think this is the type of market that you just have to stay really in tune with the macro catalyst that comes out there. Yesterday, Waller speaking, market bounced. Early in the day, it was looking pretty bad. And so you just don't know in this market. You have to stay in the seat and watching the stocks. A lot of times I say that you can walk away. This is not that type of market where you can walk away in a lot of positions.
Not if you have open positions.
Yeah, no, you're just asking to get hit on the other side, and so it's a trouble out there. I've heard people say it in the chat. We do the live trading stream, and someone was like, "I just left for 20 minutes. What happened?" Well, that's how the type of market is.
What I mean, I'm going to take the other side of that coin. It depends like how you're trading and what your targets are, because
Of course,
if you're sitting in front of the screen like that, you're going to see things that aren't there. You're going to see little gyrations and things. You got to widen out your time horizon, and sitting there, I mean, screen watching. I mean, if you can do it and sit there. But man, if you're like, oh, look at that. I mean, especially like, the overnight trading is very important. The first half hour of trading is very important. But like sitting there, 11:30, 12, I mean, it just pick your levels, pick your spots. Don't let the market tell you what to do. So I'll take, and especially for long-term investing. I mean, so I'll take the other side of the coin on that one. Citigroup ripping right to 45.78, right to 46. So just a lot of buyers here for if you're looking at this one today. Keep an eye on the pre-market high right before that open. That's 46.68. Nothing much there on the dailies up to 46.93, but important that you take out that, whatever the pre-market high is at the time, but I traded a lot of shares.
That was a really good report.
Yeah,
you didn't want to fade that one early. I hate chasing moves when we're up 2.5%. That was a really good report. So, and they're going to talk about that report here too. And you're on a day where you're showing some strength. But remember, it is option expiration, and there is going to be more volatility.
Yeah.
You don't want to get that FOMO going where you're like, I got to buy, and right now I've missed it. Because this is the market that gives you multiple chances. So I'm still going to say, if you're buying stocks, I'm doing it on dips. I'm not doing it after we just ripped 100 points. I bought a few stocks in the last few days. Some of them I'm underwater on. Some of them doing pretty good. You guys know I bought Marvell. I talked about that. I almost got the bottom of that one at 41. But I've early on my AMD. I added to my AMD. I added to my Micron in the long-term account. These are long-term trades, like investing. I bought Square for the first time in a long time. I reached just a starter position, 1/3 normal size, just getting my feet wet. But that's how I've brought, my cash down in the last couple of weeks, really from 41. I brought it down earlier, 52 to 41, which was a mistake. I was early. I brought it down from 41 to 32. Maybe it's a mistake, and maybe we're going to crash. Maybe we're going to recession. Maybe we're falling another 30% from here. That could happen. But you know what? My time horizon on that long-term portfolio is a lot longer than my trading. Trading, I'm still staying neutral. I don't think we're in the type of market that we're epically going to crash from these levels. I don't see that type of market happening. I do believe that the Fed's plan is going to work. I do believe we're going to get inflation in check. I don't think they're going to get a soft landing, but I think we've priced in a lot of bad news already. So I'm dipping my toes. Not all in, but dipping the toes.
I just let you guys know CC's internet and electricity cut out and came back on. So we'll get
CC back. We'll bring him
back. You know what?
back.
We're going to get him back every options expiration. Is
He's
what
awesome
we're going to do.
option
All right,
yeah.
everyone, have a great day. And have a great week next week. You won't have
Joel
me to
will
pick
be
on.
out. Joel will be out all
yep.
next week. So I'm worried about the markets without Joel because
I know
those have been tough
I've
weeks
just been
last
nailing this market. All right, keep an eye on that. There's nothing in, no resistance. We're going green for the week. No, I'm joking. All right, everyone, have a good day, and see you in a while.
All right, Joel getting on out of here. Dennis getting on out of here faster than I expected. He hit the out button also there, so he left me. I'll get you guys on over to the All Access. We're going to keep going till 9:15 here. So if you guys got stocks you guys want to check on out, don't go anywhere just yet. I'm going to keep going and diving on in. I'm going to actually share my charts up. We can take a look at what we're seeing out there, and we'll just flip. Again, one of the things is I just don't know in this market. I think we could get a run, but the question is, will that run, continue going? And then also, will the Fed just come on in here and do the 100 basis point hike rate to really kind of smash inflation in the face there? And that's what I'm concerned about, because I think that's what could bring us back down, right? Spencer is not with us anymore. He's out on the beach somewhere enjoying retirement, or maybe getting another job. But I think the retirement one sounds a little bit better right now. So he's out there. He's on his new path. No longer with Benzinga. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the SPY. What are we seeing? Will we get back on up there? I've been watching to see if we were going to come back to test towards those 391s. Really, the first level I'm going to watch for is around the 386 level, where you got this close around here and this high here at 386.16. Let's see if we can get through that. Next level up is 391. What to watch on the downside? Well, we've been cracking through this kind of bear pendant multiple times and recovering it. I talked about it yesterday, how, yes, it looked like we were going to 371, and then boom, we get right back towards that line. We need to keep this one on radar to see if we get back towards that 381 or 391. But right now, it is holding that 381.10 level. Let's see if we can hold that on any pullbacks, 380s, 381s. That's what I want to make sure that we hold right out the gates. We've been seeing a lot of bull traps, but it's going to be interesting to watch today. Amazon getting a little bit of lift on this. Apple's been really strong lately, not wanting to break here. So this is one that I would be watching for a move above 150. Talked about this yesterday. Look how this is looking. This is very bearish, right? But if it can get above here and really start closing up here, let's say 152, this is going to be actually turning around here on the chart and trying to make a move outside of the bearish pattern on the daily. We'll see what happens there on Apple. Megan's reggae to go with them Lucid calls. We'll see what happens on Lucid here. It's fighting to get back above 2050. It's rejected that level multiple times. We'll see if it can close above there today. If it doesn't, cracks back down there below 1950s, I might look for a short. We'll see what happens there. You guys know I like to short my Lucid. We'll see. Yesterday's best trade on live trading was definitely Cano. We rode that up from 378 up there towards the $5. Ended up getting the top shares out at 491. This is one that definitely put on your radar for you lower kind of shares price traders out there. So just keep this one on radar. We'll see what happens. Let's go to some oil. Oil actually recovering a little bit here, trying to get back up. You can see here multiple bottoms. So really going to go ahead and put this down here. We're going to go ahead and get this in this level. You can see how we've been kind of fading off. Can we get back up and really start testing up? I think eventually we can get back up above 86 today. If we can get a break above 86, you can start getting back the 9 EMA below the price action the way it was here when it was holding below it. Now it's been holding kind of above it. I want to see an actual close above that 9 EMA. Right now on the daily, I have around 85.26. So let's see, get it back above 86 and closing above there could give us that next move up to 87. But of course, how long is this going to take? And could we get some sideways action here in oil? I think so. Eventually in winter, I do think that you get that push back there towards potentially 100, but it's going to be hard to keep on watch. Any thoughts on BA? Well, Bowen really got the nice delivery number getting out of kind of this bearish trend. I'm going to continue to watch to see if we can close up there towards 150. You can see here we got up there towards 149.32. Yesterday, you got up to 148. Let's see if it can get into that 150. After that, the next level up to find resistance is going to be somewhere up here into, looks like a 157 level. So that's what I'd be watching for the next leg up. Resistance coming into 157, but a close into the 150 could get it out of this bearish zone and really start pushing back. We'll see what happens there on BA. I decided to keep audio running while I look at things. Well, keep going, Alan. Let me know if you see anything out there. All right, catching up with the chat. What else is being brought up here? Looking around. What else you guys got? AMC? Look at you AMC fans out there. I've been talking about how 15's been holding really well on AMC. That's what we're going to watch to see if it holds today. You can see it on the hourly. Look how much you've been holding that 15. You've had plenty of times where it could have broken through. Now we'll look to see if it takes off through the upper level here. That's a move going to 16. Of course, it needs to hold the pullback, so I'll be watching that to see if it holds, let's say like around 1480s on this pullback. But let's see if we could take the next leg up in AMC. GME's actually been doing well since the split. Don't forget, guys, that the ex-dividend for the split day is the 18th for GME. So the end of the week is going to be very important next week when we get into that. So you could see a run into Monday GME. So I'm going to keep this one on radar. If you see GME pumping, maybe you see AMC pump also. All right, Mitch, tagged you on Twitter. Would love your feedback on the SPY chart. Let me see if I can grab it right quick. Let me see if I can grab that for you. All right, I see that, Julie. I got you. You know what? Let's take a look at that, Julie. You asked for it. I got you. Let's take a look here. Interesting chart you have for me. So let me actually try to make this full screen here. Oh, I can actually put this aside there. Boom. All right. So this is what you're seeing out there. Okay. So you're seeing a gap up that it could try to fill, right? You're also seeing here downtrend. Okay. Lowest low after high. All right. So, I mean, it looks to me like you're pointing at least that we could get a little bounce into those gap zones. That's why I've been saying that we could go back towards the 390s, get a push in towards even the 400 gap. I think it's an important level because if I look at kind of the levels here, and let's go to the overall market here to kind of compare it to the way that I have my charts. And so you see how I had that gap zone drawn out too, right? And I think it could go into eventually getting on up there and then giving us kind of that big bounce. Very similar bounce that we got here when we bounced on up there towards another level of resistance. So right now, I think the first thing is, can it fill in this gap right here, right? Can it make a move back up there towards the 389? That's exactly what you have drawn out also there. So those are the two zones that I'd be watching. Let's see if we can actually get into those gap zones. You have the 389 there, the 401. If we can get into there, I think we still see a little bit of a push up, especially because the Fed hasn't come in, right? And so the Fed's going to come in, and I believe their meeting is, and let me just confirm that. Yeah, it's the 27th. So the 27th, right? We still have about, a week and a half. So I think we could get another run for a week and then eventually get knocked back down with the Fed. So something to keep on watch. Appreciate you tagging me. I'll take a little bit deeper dive into your chart and kind of give you your own perspective. I'll send it to you, Julie, but I just wanted to take a look here for everyone to kind of see what you were seeing also. So it looks like range banks. Purple is weekly range. Orange is the daily range. Downtrend breaks. Downtrend 2, downtrend 1, and downtrend from all-time high. I like this getting into the DT1 area. I think it could get up there eventually and then test up there. But right now, of course, that downtrend, that recent one, is holding well there. That would be a push towards that 390, and we'll see if it can get above there. But I definitely do think we have that room to push back up to the resistance. All right, let's continue going here. What other stocks are being brought up? Costco, that one's an interesting one to watch. Costco, for me, is definitely one that I'm starting to like. I've talked about that. I've been waiting for it to recover 500. Yesterday, we got that sign, right? And so I'd be looking for a pullback somewhere between 501 and this next level down. So I don't want to get too extended. So I'm looking for pullbacks. Let's see if we can get back into that 501 area. Then we could risk maybe off 497 or maybe into this down gap area to 495. But I do like this chart as it's starting to push. Why do I like Costco? Take a look at BJ. BJ is starting to lead here in discount stores. This one has been really strong. I was watching for the break of 65. Look how this has been holding the trend up there to 71, holding the pullbacks to the 9 EMA. So unless it breaks that 9 EMA, I would see this one continuing the trend. I'm going to continue watching BJ. And for that being said, not in Walmart. I missed this move, guys. I tried to get in here, eventually stopped out through that level right here on this day when we kicked back here. And now this is starting to really start getting strong here on Thursday. Pushed up there through the 125.50. Now it's getting into the gap zone. It has a room to go into the 130, 131 range. So I'm going to be watching Walmart and some discount stores to see if we can continue pushing. Dollar Tree also in that area. That this one also looking to set on up. If Dollar Tree gets a breakout, I'll look for DG to follow Dollar Tree after taking a couple of days of sideways action. And now if you see Dollar Tree kind of get on up there, Dollar General could take the next lift. Solar being brought up there. I see a lot of stocks mentioned. I'm going to try to keep going here, guys. We got about 1 minute left, so let me do one more here. Biotech, I could take a look. It's been the strongest industry in healthcare. So I can just really quickly show you that industry chart. If you looked at healthcare here, you can see here how we've pulled back on overall healthcare. But take a look at biotechs. Biotechs have been holding higher to the relative range. We'll see if this can really come back. One that I would watch is Moderna. Moderna kind of pulled back this week, and I was looking for it to pull back because it had such a run. Now I'm looking for it to catch the bid again and come back up towards the 170. So that is one that I'll tell you can keep on watching. A lot of these cheaper names in the biotechs have been moving massively, so keep those on your radar. We'll see what happens there. And what was the other one? There's one more that I was going to touch. Forgot it. All right, well, I'll just let it get. Oh, EMPH. Didn't want to miss you again. There it is. It's trying to get back up. There's 211. Can't really get up there and hold. When technology has been really strong, I've seen solar kind of take a lift, but it's also hard. JKS has been looking really strong, and look how that turned around. So these solar names are just hard to read. A lot of the times we'll get a little run in early July. We'll get a sell-off into August, and September will bring solar back up. That's just from the seasonality that I've seen on the charts. All right, guys, I'm going to bring you guys on over to All Access now, and I will do a market recap on there. So you traders out there, come on over to All Access. Check out the news stories that we have for you guys to check on out. All right, I'm going to bring you guys on over. Go check out Michael Murray on All Access.